Hi ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you about working with folders part 2. When you are working with folders, I want you to be aware of the fact that your computer in most cases has a folder called My Documents. The My Documents folder is a folder that's been created on your computer, and it typically houses or holds documents or things you've created in different programs such as Microsoft Office. For example, if you create a Word document, it will prompt you to save it in the My Documents folder. Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, all those things that are Microsoft Office oriented will typically save things in the My Documents folder. Because of that, I have a lot of things in My Documents, and I want to show you how to work or manipulate some of the items in the My Documents folder, because the way I'm going to show this to you, or the things I'm going to show to you, can be applied to any folder on your computer. But the reason I'm using My Documents is because I have a lot of things in there, and it will allow me to show you things rather easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and I'm going to double click on the My Documents folder to open it up. When it opens, what you're going to observe is there are a lot of folders inside, and you're also going to observe, and I might have missed that, let me try that again, there we go, and you're also going to notice there's a lot of other documents that are just sort of scattered through there. So to start with, we have a lot of folders in here, and if I scroll down the list, go down, and it just sometimes, because I got so much in here, takes a little bit of time to open up. If I scroll down, you're going to see that the folders I have within the My Documents folder are all in alphabetical order. Once we get past the last folder, what you're going to see is there's all kinds of other documents of different types. There's some PDFs, there's some Word, there's some Excel documents in here. But what this does is it's all in a list. The document always shows folders first, and anything that's sort of in there just scattered. And again, remember I was talking about a filing cabinet, and when you open the top drawer of a filing cabinet, you have all your folders in there. Maybe they're A to Z, but on top of that, you've also just thrown a lot of documents in there. Now maybe they're orderly in one pile, but all those documents, because they're not in a folder, are now just sort of scattered within that drawer. Well, that's in essence what you're seeing down here with these items. They're documents that have not been in a specific folder, but they're still in the My Documents file or folder, so to speak. So again, I always tell people, think of this like a filing cabinet. But the advantage of this versus a filing cabinet is a few things. One, we can look at this information in different ways. For example, if I come up and I click on this drop down right here for this little icon, this is called Views. And what Views allows me to do is see the same information in different ways. So if I want to see this as thumbnails, for example, I can click on that, and it might take a second for this to take effect because I have so much on this computer and there's a lot in the My Documents folder. But if I click on thumbnails, what it's going to do is make the icons all much bigger and give me a little bit more of an illustration of the types of things that I have in here. So the thumbnails view is a way to see more information, or I should say bigger information. And here we go. It's just made everything bigger, and it gives you a little bit of a sense of what's inside some of these folders. Gives you a slight preview. But I rarely use this, and the reason I rarely use this is because of the fact that I feel the best information and the best way to see and understand what's in that folder is not necessarily through this, but through the Details view. So I'm going to go down and I'm going to click on Details. And the reason I like the Details view is because of the fact that I see a lot of information about the particular item at hand. In other words, I can tell when certain things have been created or modified. For example, I want you to observe across the top here, we have the name of the folder, and again, it's in alphabetical order. We have the size. Now, it doesn't show you the size of folders, but it would show you the size of documents. That's not as important to me, but this is really important to me. The date it was created. Now, as you look and as we scroll to the right, you're going to see that there's different information here, when it was modified, when it was accessed. And what I can do is I can take these items, these headings, and if I click on hold, for example, on date created, I can drag this to the left and move it over just so it's in a different order. So now size is here. So a lot of times when I'm looking for things, for example, if I create a Word document, I might not remember exactly what I called that Word document, but what I might remember is the approximate time when it was created. So what I can do is this. When you're in this folder, or any folder for that matter, and you have these headings, and I'm just going to resize these headings, the size I'm going to make a little bit smaller, and what I'm doing is I'm putting my pointer on the line right here, or this line for example, and I'm just dragging to the left. I'm making it a little bit smaller. And that time I made it a little bit too small. If you put your pointer on there and get the double-headed arrow and double-click, it will make that column as wide as the widest item there. Now it looks like I made it really wide, but it's most likely because there's something way down this list that's much wider. So again, that's a little too wide. I'm going to drag it in a little bit. But now what I want you to observe is if I decide that I want to reverse or change how this is sorted, I can click on the headings. So for example, if I click on date created, I will sort this entire folder based on when things were created. As you see, I have something that was created all the way back in 2005. If I come and click on the first item and on my keyboard hit the N key, END, that will take me to the last thing that was created. And as you can see, there was something created on 6/19/2009, today. So if I want to reverse the sort order, originally it went from the oldest to the newest. If I want to reverse that sort order, I can click on date created a second time and it will reverse the sort order. Because there's so much here, it's hard to see that. If I click on any item just once, and then instead of hitting the End key, END, hit the Home key, I will go all the way back to the top of my list. So before this was on the bottom of my list, but now it's on the top of the list. So I can sort things based on the type of document, the date modified, the date accessed, all kinds of things. And if you don't see the proper information here, if you right click on one of the headings, you can go down and add some other different headings. Now some of these you might not use, but you can find things rather easily. So to back up for just a moment, what I always tell people about working with documents in a folder, you can find things because even if you can't remember what that document or item was called, you will most likely remember, geez, you know what? I did that just before I went on vacation last summer because I remember I was pressing to get that project done. And you can approximate, well, it was last July sometime. So by sorting things based on when it was created, you can then go through your list and most likely track down the particular document or item that you're looking for. So knowing how to go into a folder and sort things and look at things based on the date they were created or the name or the type, and clicking on that to sort it by that name or that heading, that allows you to find a lot of information. Because of that, as a general rule, I usually try to dissuade people from using too many folders, because in my opinion, for everything you gain by using a lot of folders, you lose something. That being, it's easy to misfile something. So again, keep it simple. You'll be able to find things. If you can't find it the way I just showed you, again, one of the tools I mentioned earlier, something called Copernic, will help you find things even if you don't even remember where you put them. This is Tony Holowitz. Thank you for your time.